Part 6. Salem felt for the lock. She knew where to place a finger and silence the sharpness of the spring mechanism. She stepped in and leaned back on the door. I had a view, but only of her white night dress illuminated by a glint of light from a high small window. I heard this clever woman slither to a wooden bed up against the wall. Suddenly, she yanked the pillow from under a sleeping man and jumped on him, and with that, I pushed the door wide open. He did not notice me or Neo. Her long white legs straddled his exposed belly, and she tickled him as if he were not already awakened. He reached over and pulled on the lamp chain to expose her ghastly alluring face. "What are you doing?" he asked. "You're not supposed to be in here." "Shut up, honey." "What?" he protested. "What are you doing sleeping in the helmet shop?" "Oh. I didn't mean to say that. I'm going to give you a little fun. You're a loose woman. Don't be so uptight, sweetie." "What? Aren't you Neo's girlfriend?" "What if I am? I didn't know you." She interrupted him and said, "Well, this is the right time to find out, when everybody is away, busy doing other things." She withdrew the miniature from her negligee, unscrewed it, and ran it by his nose. Oh. Oh yeah, that does smell good." In his agitated state he did not smell the faint odor of sulfur. "Now, have a little sip." His eyes were as big as a dumb ostrich. "Sip." He did. "Oh my God, you're turning yellow," she cried. "What?" he responded. "Here." She pulled out a girly handheld mirror and said, "Look." When he took the mirror in his hands, she threw her hair around his neck and began tightening it like a noose. He dropped the mirror, and the bed creaked violently. With her right hand and a right knee on the hairy noose, she squeezed some blood out of her pricked middle finger and let it drop into his right eye. "Oh God," he screamed. "Shut up. You don't want everyone to know I'm with you, do you?" The prostrate man still didn't see us. "Now, tell me how that picture got into the LK gallery," she said. "If you don't, the potion I mixed will turn your body into a fleshy mess. Are you going to spill the beans, or do I have to tighten this noose more until you are good and dead, ready for the coffin in the bowels of LK?" The potion took effect quickly. "How did you know?" he said. "Simple. I saw the name was scratched off the picture," she said cheerfully. "That was the name of the painter," his squeaky voice muttered. "And what does it matter now, you pint-sized scaramouche? You told Neo the risque picture was painted by a famous man, and then you defiled the image by placing the adult's hand on the child's buttocks, and thinking it was the famous painter's picture in its original form, Neo hung it without careful examination. You let him take the blame. How did you alter the image, and how did you remove the name?" "Myxobacteria, an antibiotic," he said. "We don't use that at LK. What did you bring in?" "I'm not telling you anything more." With that she jumped off the bed. The man saw me. I jumped him and hauled the run out. We took him in the elevator down to the basement. It was unusually cold. I stood the man up against the Ram truck. He looked at us like a cornered whippet. "You're done," I said. Then turning to Neo, I sternly said, "The veracity of the evidence given by Salem about the risque painting sentences you brother Dionysus." I pulled out the note card I had carried ever since the State Inspector of Art Galleries had visited HQ. I did some research and read the card like I was reciting his Miranda rights. I quote from the Fanny Hill decision. "To be considered obscene, material must, 1. Have a dominant theme in the work considered as a whole that appeals to prurient interest, 2. Be patently offensive because it goes beyond contemporary community standards, and 3. Be utterly without redeeming social value." In this chaotic world, Neo, and ever since that decision, anything goes. Because you placed the picture in the gallery, you are not exonerated. One shake of his body revealed a weakness in the spirit of the stout sniper. Nevertheless, your action was accomplished under false pretenses, and the very same evidence that convicts you convicts the accuser, standing there, of misleading you. He let you take the blame for a rather innocent mistake. This man, and I pointed to him, violated the 8th commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. A contingent of kids arrived in helmets and demonstrated well the hypnotizing effects of their headgear. In rapid-fire fashion, the leader rattled off almost every command contained in the LK memory bank before taking the man away in Amontillado chains, to be buried alive in the LK catacombs. After some deliberation and debate, I recommended Neo go to confession right away. Salem had a sullen look in her eyes. I looked lovingly at Neo and gave him a kiss on the cheek. That felt like the kiss of Judas, he said. Neo turned to Salem and said, "Can I get some of that, only this time on the lips?" She looked cross-eyed at his puppy dog eyes. "Go ahead, Salem." Before she could do that, an explosion rocked the LK building. 3 dogs, each with the head of a goat, headed up the ramp to the exit. In their wake, the putrefying smell of dead bodies surrounded us. Information Guide. This narrative was sponsored by Famine Farms, Basics Microwave Food, Plague 22, LK Incorporated, CAMERA Corporation. CAMERA stands for Computerized Automated Mechanical Engineering Randomized Something, HCP Corporation, System 1 PCs, and AB Studios. Famine Farms, Basics, Plague 22, CAMERA Corporation, and System 1 PCs are part of LK Incorporated, a protection team dedicated to bringing down the secretive organizations trying to wreak havoc on the innocent. HCP stands for Hazard Containment Protocol. HCP is a corporation dedicated to advancing biotech and science to the next level. A sister location is Biotech Labs, which specializes in biotech. Biotech Labs is the weapons supplier for LK Inc. HCP houses specialized units for containing experiments that go wrong. They are mentioned in the employee handbook. Those units are called SUDT, or specialized units designed to terminate. All persons are fictional and do not bear any resemblance to living persons. Addresses and locations are real, but there is no intention or implication that any owners have given permission to use the addresses or locations. The end.